The Weekly Warp Pipe.
Welcome to the Weekly Warp Pipe, podcast dedicated to retro video games, 80s and 90s toys, and all things nostalgia. This week's episode, we talk about how much is too much when collecting video games. I'm joined by my co-host, Jay, the NES Addict. Hope you guys are going to enjoy this episode. Be sure to check out the website, RussLyman.com, for updates on the videos, my other YouTube channels, merch, and much, much more. Let's get into the episode. What's up, guys? Welcome to the Weekly Warp Pipe Podcast. I'm your host, RussLyman. Joined with me is...
Hey, I'm Jay, the NES Addict.
Excellent. And we're bringing to you episode 3. How much is too much when collecting video games?
I mean, it's a good question to ask, especially for myself, because my game room is literally a closet. So there is a limit.
Right. I've been to Jay's and we fit maybe 4 or 5 people in there. It's not like the smallest closet. It's probably like what, a double-sized closet.
Yeah, it's supposed to be a his and hers, but it's just a his and his at this point.
It's a his and man-child's.
His and gamer. That's right.
That's it. Well, hey, we put a poll up on my YouTube channel bit by bit, and we asked you guys, how much is too much when you're collecting games. And I put a couple choices up there, so I'll read them in least amount. So I put, I would sell things to make room for new items, was 15% people said. And then we got, I don't have the space in my game room, was 19% of people were saying that. I expanded my game room to make room for more, 26% on that. And the most people said, I don't like a cluttered game room, so I niche collect.
All good responses.
Yeah. I said, definitely, with you having a extremely small game room, you have to definitely niche collect. Are there some things that you wish you could have more of or maybe expand on and you just can't because of the space?
Yeah, like I would like to have more of like the NES boxes for the actual
NES
consoles.
Games. Oh, the consoles. Yeah, those take up a lot of room.
Yeah, those are pretty big. My Super Nintendo collection, I would like it to be larger. But I've kind of dialed it back to mainly the classics because of the same reason. I have a very tiny Genesis collection. It's laughable. Yeah, I think, you have like that beautiful Play Choice 10 back there. I'd love to have something like that, but there's no way.
Well, you have an arcade 1-up though in there. You fit that in there.
I did fit that in there.
Luckily, those are pretty compact and lightweight. So,
yeah, it kind of fits snugly in between some stuff. So that worked out really well. I had to nix the Wii U kiosk. That's in my son's room now. It just was taking up too much room.
Oh, right. I forgot about that. Yeah. Fitting a full kiosk in a closet, basically.
Yeah. That didn't last in here too long, but it was fun while it lasted. But Colin really enjoys it being in his room, so it works out.
Oh, there we go. That works out then. Yeah, I grabbed the Play Choice 10 after I do have an arcade 1-up that's in front of me on the other side of the game room, and then I ended up getting one more arcade cabinet. When I got married, my wife surprised me with a Pac-Man cabinet. So that's kind of off to the other side of the game room. The way my game room's set up, it's like an L. So it has this space here. And then it basically was my old bedroom. So I put extra stuff over there. So I definitely have more space than you. But again, I would have to go with, I don't like it being super cluttered. I don't want to have every single one of my games out on display. I actually boxed up most of my NES and Super NES games. Once I started playing all the games on my SNES Classic, there was really no need to have all the games out unless I want to show off the cart or something like that. A lot of the box stuff I do have on display, like all the Mario games, my Zelda games, Castlevania, just certain franchises, and maybe I'll rotate those out once I get bored of looking at them.
Yeah, those classic consoles really save some room. I've even toyed with the idea of why don't I just sell this stuff, put a ton of money in the bank, and just use those 4 or 5 mini consoles that I have and game from those. essentially do the same thing, and it's way less room. But I kind of have to keep the collection because it's like preserving history. It's kind of the reason I keep it. So,
have you ever sold off a good portion of your collection? And
it was out of necessity because I wanted to buy that NES Sharp TV that's on the other side of the room. So I sold off almost my entire Genesis collection, several consoles, lots of Super Nintendo stuff. So I sold off a big portion, but it was just to pay for that. It was more about adding that to the collection than and needing money as opposed to saving space. But
right. Well, like you said, like, you got to a point where, okay, I want to fit this Sharp TV into my game room. Maybe I can move some stuff. This way I have less stuff in the game room.
No, I did sell my Master System and my Sega CD for that reason, because there just wasn't anywhere to put it. They were just like sitting on the floor. And I was like, I might as well get rid of these.
Oh, yeah. That's where you have to make the decision. You're like, when was the last time I played these, or like bought a game for that system? And if you don't have any nostalgia value to it, maybe, it wasn't your system growing up. So you're like, all right, I could sell it and put it towards something else.
Yeah. And I shuffle stuff around in here all the time as well, because it's like two-sided, and like this side is supposed to be the quote unquote studio side, while that side's supposed to be meant for gaming. But things get shoved around and stuff that ends up in here that's not supposed to be in here. Like right now I can see some kind of random face cleanser thing my wife doing here to get out of their bedroom. And I'm like, that's not supposed to be in the game room.
It's not a Nintendo face cleanser.
Yeah, the Nintendo face cleanser. Exactly. It's an oddity for sure. You'll never find another one.
Although we both do have the Nintendo shower head.
Yes.
Yeah, and the back wall there, you have most of your oddities.
Yeah, those are mostly what's on display. A lot of people have like, the game wall, but I've chosen to display this stuff.
Right. And that kind of comes down to back to our question with like too much. When is too much with game collecting? You niche down a portion of the collection. Like, I want to collect these Nintendo oddities that were back in the 80s, maybe seen in the magazines. You could send away for these items. Mario shower heads,
Dixie cups,
Dixie cup dispenser, which I also have that.
I know. Nice phone, by the way.
Yes. Oh yeah, you can see the phone on the back there.
Yeah. So exactly, like I had to pick and choose, like, what are we going to do? We're going to have a bunch of Genesis and Super Nintendo games and Sega CD, or we're going to display these cool random objects that you could buy to decorate your house or for functional use, like the lunch boxes, or the bow biters.
Right. Because most of the time when you see someone like on YouTube doing any video and they're a gamer, most of the time it's just like a bookcase behind them filled to the brim with games. To me, it's cool showing off, hey, you got a big collection, but it's like just all the spines and everything like that. And I don't find that aesthetically as pleasing as like seeing a lunchbox in there and, maybe front face some of those games, essentially.
It's definitely not as interesting.
Right.
It may be more impressive to have like a full Nintendo set behind you, but I'd rather see some of the niche items,
Right. And when I started with retro game collecting again, I found some quick DIY shelving that I took. I think they were 1x1s, square pieces of wood, basically, and put long bolts into them. Basically, if you put one in each side and then put it across, you don't need a bottom, and you can put games on it. It won't fall through. And I had a couple rows going down the side of the room here where I had all my NES games out, all my Super Nintendo, and just it was easy to organize and move them around. But like you said, once I got the NES Classic, the SNES Classic, I took a lot of my cart games and put them in storage. I have a little bookshelf to my left here with Wii games, kind of the stuff I'm not emulating on those there. I got Sega CD, GameCube, PlayStation 3, and Vita stuff. So all that stuff is kind of the smaller portion of my collection. I did sell a few NES games here and there, not a whole lot, I got probably 50-50 with box versus cart games. You know, a lot of them were mine growing up, and I have nostalgia attachment to them. And I'm like, okay, I got to hang on to these ones. You know, these are great classic ones. But if it's games like I never ever played, like I played once and was like, I'm done, I'll probably end up selling those. I've done a few whatnot auctions with David Apuzzo and brought some games on there, sold those. And again, you know, taking that profits and putting it towards something more niche that I'm collecting to, like the Virtual Boy.
That's right. The Virtual Boy. Are there any systems that you don't collect for that very reason? Just for saving space purposes?
Right. Yeah. Because where I am now with the game room, I probably can't start a new collection of a system. Like I don't have any Master System games or a Master System. And, you know, I would dive into that a little bit, but there's nowhere to put them anywhere.
Right. That's exactly why, like, I've kind of kept my gaming between like 85 and 95. Like,
okay,
I have a TurboGrafx. I think I have all the 16-bit consoles. But I don't have any N64. I don't have any GameCube.
Right.
I have like 5 Wii games, maybe like 5 Wii U games. Like it's everything after the Super Nintendo is like,
So you're keeping it real retro.
Super retro.
Nice.
What about disc-based games? Like I know you said you had like PlayStation, what was it, 3?
Yep. Yeah. I mean, and I have PS4 as well. That's kind of in the back on the IKEA bookshelf there. I kind of did like 2 rows with those stacking. That's like all the new gen stuff. All my Switch stuff is back there. I don't have any Xbox stuff. I never made the jump to Xbox. It was always PlayStation and Nintendo. So I stuck with that. But, you know, I kept my disc-based games out because essentially I don't have anything that I'm going to like emulate a PS3 game with.
Right.
So it's like, okay, I need those to physically put in and play a game.
So you were team PlayStation. I was Xbox.
Yeah. Like none of my friends had an Xbox, so I never went over someone's house and was like, oh, cool, Xbox. Like it was always like, oh, PS2, like this is neat. I didn't get a PS3 till very long time. My friend George ended up sending it to me, sent me PS3 with Uncharted 1, 2, and 3. And that was awesome. And then I ended up selling all my N64 games in N64 to buy a PS4.
Classic move.
I was like, I can always get these back. I do have an N64 now, but I think my game plan was to buy one of those Ever drives.
Yeah, so that's another great way to save space.
I think that would run a little bit. Like I have the N64 games on the SNES Classic system, but they don't run great. So I'm thinking if I'm using original hardware and just having the games on that Ever drive, it might be a little bit better. And, you know, I'll try it out. If it doesn't work well, then I'll just get the classics. We'll get, you know, Mario Kart and Mario and 64, Zelda. Like I'll get like 10 games of the staple titles.
Yeah, that's all you need. I think that's probably why they never came out with like a mini console for that. It's hard to emulate the 64.
Right. Well, it's funny though, they came out with a PlayStation 1.
Yeah, but did it not suck? I never had one, so I don't know.
I don't have one, so I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, I just heard it wasn't that great. But what other like tips and tricks do you do to like kind of conserve space in your game room?
Right. I mean, like I said, you know, early on collecting, you're like, oh, NES, like let's grab whatever games we can find. You're going to Goodwill, see an NES game and you're grabbing it. But stick to the rule. Like if you're not going to play that game and it's just sitting up on your shelf and you're never going to touch it and it doesn't hold any nostalgic value to you, then put it in the trade bin or the for sale bin. Because eventually you're going to run out of room. The way I'm playing, though, you know, I'm getting new games, too. So I'm adding Switch games and PS4 games that I'm going to be playing. So it's hard to also then add retro stuff that I'm not going to play. It doesn't seem like that's a great idea. It's like, OK, if it's something I absolutely need and I'm going to play it here and there, that's fine. But like I said, I packed up a lot of my NES stuff. It's in bins. It's not on display, but I don't have the urge to get rid of it. So if you do have like a storage space, I guess you can always store away some stuff to make some room from some new items. Maybe you're like, okay, I'm going to focus on collecting Game Boy now. I have a small shelf here. I could fill up with Game Boy games, and that'll keep you busy for a year, maybe.
Yeah, NES is the one thing I haven't let go of, the idea of maybe completing the collection someday. Obviously,
are you on set like getting a full NES set? You're like, I'm not sure.
I'll say there's a caveat to it. I'm on board for getting as full of an NES set as I possibly can, with the knowledge that I'll probably never own a little Samson, a Nintendo World Championship. All those like games are going to cost me like a Bonk's Adventure, like thousands of dollars.
Right. Okay.
If I can get it under $200-$300, I'll probably snag it. So I'm sure I'll tap out before the collection's complete. But I'm going to get it as far as I can, and then hope that one day when I'm like 95 years old, people will be like, here, we don't want this crap. I'm like, sweet, I can have it on my deathbed.
Your kids are going to just sell it for $10 at a garage sale.
Yeah, absolutely. The day after I die, they're just going to give it away, burn it.
Well, you are doing the, what's the series? Awesome NES.
Yeah, Awesome NES series. Yeah, and that's actually a complete ripoff of Michael B. the Game Genie's NES Complete Collection Chronicles. Because when I first started collecting, like that was the thing to do. Pat, the NES Punk, had a complete set. Michael B. was trying to get a complete set. So Jay had to get one too. But here we are like 7 years later, still working on it.
Right. I mean, it's definitely a long haul unless you have loads of cash.
Yeah. And I think that's more fun because I had a friend of mine, he just bought them all in like 2-3 years. And now he has none of his collection. He sold all of it. So I think he like burned out like a star. He just like came in a little too hot.
Right. Some people, there was a few, videos of people trying to collect full NES, like in a certain time frame that I would watched. Like
Retro Rick, he started this NES collection not long ago, and he's already surpassed me in numbers. And I've been collecting like 6 years longer than him.
Well, he does do pretty good with the flipping aspect of finding other games to put towards new games.
He is the flip master. That's true.
That's right. I don't know how many games you're flipping.
That's how he conserves his space. He just gets rid of them.
Right. You build it up to a certain point and you're like, all right, I don't need these. And, maybe I want to buy an $800 NES game that I would have never purchased before, but because I made so much on selling these games, I can now justify that purchase.
Yeah, exactly. You ever watch Discart?
Yeah.
He does a lot of stuff on like, ways to conserve space and interesting ideas. So that's kind of cool. And I've tried to make the most of my space as well, So
absolutely. Yeah. He has plenty of videos on his channel, Diskcart, in case you didn't hear us pronounce his name. But yeah, on YouTube, yeah, plenty of like little doodads of like putting your carts in these display cases. A lot of stuff where if you're collecting loose, really helps out, like loose Switch games, DS, all those like tiny games. You can put those in binders and save up space. It depends if you want to have the cases, the manuals, and all that. But yeah, lots of ideas on there for sure.
Are there any, besides the Virtual Boy, any consoles you're trying to completely collect for, or is that it?
Yeah, I never had the urge to have like a full set of anything retro, or like Wii U, I think is the next less amount. Like if you're going Nintendo, Virtual Boy has the least amount of games. Then it might be, I don't know if it's Wii U or N64.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know either.
N64 is my least favorite Nintendo system, so I don't have that much love for it to collect the entire set. My friend George does have a complete set. He completed it a few years ago, and I did a game room tour when I went to visit him. He lives in New Mexico, and it was cool to see for sure, getting those like Blockbuster exclusives and all that. Some games I'm like, I never heard of. There was like some bowling game that was really rare on the N64.
I'm glad that I have no love for that and the GameCube. Sorry, Matt from Retro Wolf. I know you love the GameCube, but it just eliminates a problem for me. Like I don't have to worry about the space because I don't care about the system. So
right.
I'm actually thankful for that.
So I mean that probably poses an issue someone who loves all games and all systems, since like we're both saying how we're kind of niche down, but someone that loves like Nintendo, PlayStation, Xbox,
they want it all.
Right. And now you're going to make room for Xbox 360, PS 1 through 4, all the Nintendo stuff. That's a lot of room. And if you don't have that space, it's like, where do you cut it off? Like, are you buying these filler titles when you're going out, especially with game hunting? You know, you see a good deal and you're like, oh, I'll get this game for $2 or whatever. But it's like, are you going to play it? Like, or is it just going to sit on the shelf?
Exactly. If it's me, I'm flipping it to buy an NES game.
To buy an NES game. Blast.
They don't call me the addict for nothing.
That's right. But to go back, I know a lot of people are saying they don't like a cluttered game room with so much stuff on it. Would you consider the back wall there of yours like cluttered?
I mean, it's definitely packed in tight. I think it looks okay, but somebody else might think it's cluttered. I don't think it's too bad.
Right. Could be anyone's definition of clutter. Like, okay, maybe just games on this shelf, but if you have games and then a couple figures in front of those games and then maybe a controller and
it's subjective, I guess. But, I do find it hard in here to not get cluttered because, like I said, other stuff gets pulled in here and I'm moving stuff around, setting up tables, setting up umbrellas. So that's another reason I have to be so picky, is because the room is so limited. I mean, there's a wall separating the two sides.
Right.
So I just got to be creative and do the best I can.
That's for sure. Like being creative of how to display these items to your liking. So where it doesn't look cluttered. Oftentimes, I put some stuff in storage just because I don't want to display it all and have it look cluttered. And then maybe I can swap some stuff out. Like, okay, I just recently got like glass cases.
Those are sick. I like those.
David Apuzzo was closing his studio that he didn't need anymore. So I picked up 2 of those. And that certainly helps me display what would you say, series? Like I have like one cube is just Metroid stuff.
Okay, yeah.
And then one's that's Batman stuff. So I could kind of fill it with that. So they're each themed. Essentially.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. You could do the same thing with these IKEA cube things, make each cube a different theme. So you put all the same stuff in there. Yeah. Maybe it might look a little bit too cluttered because it depends how many of those theme things you get.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. Mine's just kind of like overall late 80s, early 90s Nintendo. So I feel like it kind of fits together.
Right. Different sizes for different game rooms. We went to go different folks. We went to so I'm living right now with my wife in a condo.
That's a good thing.
It's a 1-bedroom condo. Not much room for a game room. So the plan is, eventually we want to get a house. We're hoping to see the condo next to us actually is going up for auction, literally like next to us. And if we can get it, then we can just put a door in and like have 2 condos.
That'd be sick.
And she said, then I can take like the back bedroom and make that essentially my game room or studio there.
Dude, that would work.
It would work for now, but I would definitely have to conserve and downsize some stuff due to where I am now. It's such a long space. And then I now have the extra room with like the other arcade. I got my Cameo silhouette cutter machine in there and printer. So there's like
all the DIY stuff.
Right. All the DIY stuff. So it's like, all right, when we are looking for a house, we did look at one. Her aunt was selling her house and we went there, and seeing their basement, I was like, it's okay. Like I could make it work, but if we're going to be there in that house for a long time, like I'd rather get something different. I was like, I picture going down into a basement and having like the whole square footage, big couch, TV. So like a place you can hang out, watch a movie, and then maybe a side section with like arcades and some of the game stuff displayed over there.
Now, is your Pac-Man arcade, is it a 1-up or is it a full size?
No, it's a full size, and it's actually Pac-Man Plus.
Oh,
so it's like harder. I could barely get past the first level.
I've never heard of that. So
yeah, it has like you get like Coke cans in it too instead of like fruit.
Weird.
Yeah, she got it because it was in a basement of one of her dad's friends growing up, and she used to play it a lot.
Oh, that's cool.
And she was going to do the arcade surprise for me at our reception. We had the garage. I brought my arcade one up and my Play Choice, and we had that set up. And she actually rented Back to the Future pinball table, a Mario arcade, and like another arcade. And she talked to him about getting it as like a wedding present. Because it, she played it growing up, so it has nostalgia value to it. So she ended up giving it to me, and I was like, "Oh, that's awesome."
I'm so jealous that I wasn't there for that.
Yeah, I don't think we got video of it, but there's pictures.
Nice, nice.
It's definitely not as heavy as the Play Choice because the Play Choice is a dual monitor Play Choice, so it's got two big heavy monitors in it, and that is not fun. We had to like take this out of the basement, up the hill, put it on a truck, bring it to her house, and then bring it back here. I'm like, I only want to move this thing so many times.
Were you like, please God, don't break it?
Right. Because I got a good deal on the Play Choice 10, and it just fits in here with the ceiling being in a basement. Like, I don't know how I fit the Nintendo sign above it. It's like it's got like 6 inches.
What did you have to move to fit that thing over there?
I did have a table that went all the way to the back wall. So essentially, I had to get rid of that table. I got a different table to put the TV on. That's, again, getting creative with how much stuff is in your game room and organizing. I did a full organization when I got the display cabinets, how I could fit 2 of those and still have the IKEA bookshelf back there. So I had to put, a cabinet on each side. It's still kind of cluttered. Where the arcade cabinet is, it's not ideal to play it.
Right.
Because it's like by the table. I'd have to move the table a little bit to get in there and play it. But it looks cool for videos for right now.
So I don't know if you guys can see, but my wall is slanted, my ceiling.
Right, because you're in the second floor, so you have...
Yeah, so there's like some peaks to deal with. And at one point, my Final Fight cab was all the way to the left. And even if it is a arcade one up, it was still on a riser. So I'd be playing like with my head to the side. This is so...
right. Jeez. Well, you were standing up or sitting down? You stand up?
I was standing up at the time.
Yeah. You have to invest in the stool.
Yeah, sit down. I need the stool. That'll be next.
Can you fit a stool in there?
Probably not. Yeah, that's the other problem is the seat over there on that side is so wide. Mm-hmm. So to play the NES Sharp or the other little CRT that I have the TurboGrafx hooked up to, you have to turn the chair this way. And then it's very bulky and cumbersome to turn back around the other way to play the Sega or the Super Nintendo. So
I think you need a beanbag, man.
There you go. Or a swivel chair or something.
Swivel chair will work. I just went to PAX. My buddy Ganny Man picked up a trying to remember the name of them. Let me see if I can look this up quick. They're like bean bags, essentially.
Like a love sack?
Maybe. Because you could sit in them like a chair, or you can have them go all the way down and lay on them, essentially.
Huh.
Here we go. What is it called? Yoga Bow.
Yoga. Never heard of it.
Yoga Bow. I don't know how much they cost, but I mean, if you guys are on YouTube watching, this is essentially what it looks like there.
Oh, that looks comfy.
And he's got the big one that essentially you can lay in as well.
The old Yoga Bow. That's amazing.
So I feel like that, like there was definitely in some retro magazines, they had a Mario beanbag, I remember.
Yeah, I know. If I ever see one at a convention, I'm totally snagging it.
The only thing I've seen, which was at Southeast Game Exchange, was like that beach chair.
I have the red version of that.
Oh, okay. That's right. There was a blue one.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. And sometimes I put it on this chair because it's so uncomfortable. One of the things I'm actually doing, I have a friend of mine who just moved down here and he had a really nice gaming chair. And I'm like, dude, now that I'm doing this podcast, like, can I have your chair? Because he was getting rid of it. So I got to pick that up because sitting on this fold out chair is the worst. So once I get that in here, it'll be even more room taken up. So that's true. That's why I was so hesitant to get one, because of the amount of room it will take up. But
right.
Now that we're doing this podcast, I think it's a necessity.
It's a necessity.
It's a bare necessity.
Get some extra. Each week we'll be adding stuff to your game room.
That's right. Got the lights. Next we'll have a chair.
You got to get the pop filter here.
You got to get the pop filter
so we can say peas.
Yep.
Excellent. Yeah, collecting certainly can get out of hand if you don't have direction. That's what I would give a tip. Have a direction of, okay, a lot of people make goals for the new year. When the new year comes, this is, I want to collect, I need 25 more NES games. But then, take a look at your shelves. Like, am I going to have room for 25 more? Do I maybe have to move some other stuff around, put some stuff in storage, or do I want to sell some things that I'm no longer attached to?
Yeah, I think that's great advice. The other thing I would say is just be picky about what you get. When I know when you first start collecting, especially, you're just like grabbing everything you can get, and before you know it, you got a mess on your hands.
That's for sure. And also to jump into, we don't always don't only just collect retro video games. We also collect toys. So now fitting toys into your game room as well. I know you got some Ninja Turtle stuff, Monster in My Pocket, Battle Beasts.
Yep. And trying to sprinkle those throughout,
Transformers, G.I. Joe, all the
Supernaturals.
Right. So it's like, all right, now I need an area for toys. I guess that's where you can you have your game shelves and you can sprinkle in a couple action figures on the shelves itself.
Or you can do what I do and just stick them in the toy box where they're supposed to be.
You got the Nintendo toy box.
But then you never get to see them because there's so much junk.
Right. It's like you take them out every few months and like
my kid's always like, Dad, let me look at that. And I'm like, man, I don't feel like moving all those boxes.
First world problems.
That's right.
Excellent. Trying to think what else we could tap into.
Yeah, I'm not sure. One of the things I do is hang some sweet art on this wall, though. Like, that's one thing that I've really utilized that wall for in the middle, is to kind of display the art. Once again, like the creativity,
Yeah, you get a lot of those like posters in the old retro magazines, so you can always hang those as well. And I've seen a lot of people do like shadow boxes with NES cards.
Yeah.
Or
I've seen the Power Glove in a shadow box.
Oh, nice. Yep, there you go. Or you can make a lamp out of it, I suppose.
Yeah, I guess
I have it's hard to see. Let's see. Can you see it in the back? I do have it. No, it's not on. I have an NES zapper as a lamp.
I have a zapper lamp too. It's over there. That was a fun DIY. That's the only DIY I think I've ever done.
One and done.
Leave it to Russ.
That's it. Yeah, I mean, having small game rooms definitely makes it a challenge for collecting. And it's like, all right, when do I know too much is too much with collecting? You just have to set your boundaries on these are the systems I'm collecting for. And if I want to add to that, then I'm going to have to thin down some stuff or put some stuff in storage, essentially, or sell it. I think those are the only options.
And buy a bigger house.
Or buy a bigger house. That's it. That's the end goal of you want a bigger game room? Get a bigger house.
That's right.
Not with this market, though.
Nope. Don't want to do it now.
It might be a while before I get into a house. That's for sure.
You'll get there, Russ.
Could always get a shed like Riff and have a game room shed.
That's not a bad idea. I think he's pretty lucky about where he lives, though. Like San Diego, the weather's pretty much the same all the time.
Right.
I would be hesitant to put anything in a uninsulated shed if I lived up north or somewhere where it rained a lot,
Yeah, you get the snow, hurricanes, all that stuff.
Yeah, then you might end up with just a really poor decision when all your stuff is ruined.
Right. And if you didn't put it on your homeowner's insurance, then you're SOL.
Absolutely.
Sweet. Well, I hope you guys enjoyed listening to this podcast. We're weekly every Saturday at 7 a.m. We are added on Spotify and I think a few other places there if you can't catch us on YouTube. But yeah, it's been awesome.
Yeah, great times. Just remember, if you have to go any direction, you can always go up. It's kind of like a city in here.
Perfect. As always, guys, I'm RussLyman. Keep your world fun bit by bit.
Take care.